Who are the Hebrews? The Hebrews are people descended from Abraham. The origin of the word Hebrew is thought to come from the proper name Eber, listed in Genesis 10 verse 24 as the great-grandson of Shem and an ancestor of Abraham. Another etymology traces the original root word back to the phrase from the other side. In that case, Hebrew would be a word designating an immigrant, which Abraham certainly was in Genesis 12, verse 1, 4, and 5. We remember that when Father met with Moses and he was sending Moses to Pharaoh, he said that he was Yahuwah, the God of the Hebrews. From Shem through Arphaxad and Shelah came Eber, the eponymous ancestor of the Hebrews, and Eber's descendant through Peleg, Ru, Sereg, and Nahar was Terah, the father of Abram, and his brothers Nahar and Haran. It becomes clear that if Hebrews are descendants of Eber, then others besides those of Abraham's line could possibly be included. See Genesis 11 verse 10 through 6. Which says, these are the generations of Shem. When Shem was 100 years old, he fathered Arphaxad 2 years after the flood. And Shem lived after he fathered Arphaxad 500 years and had other sons and daughters. Today, a Hebrew is usually thought of as a member of any group of ancient people traced their lineage from Abraham through Isaac and Jacob, and that is how the Bible uses the term. In fact, Abraham is the first person called a Hebrew in the Bible. Genesis 14, verse 13. Then one who had escaped came and told Abram the Hebrew, who was living by the oaks of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Eshcol and of Edna. These were allies of Abram. After 400 years in Egypt, the Hebrews were recognizable as a distinct people group. Exodus 1, verse 19. The midwife said to Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not like the Egyptian women, for they are vigorous and give birth before the midwife comes to them. The Philistines and Canaan use the term Hebrews. 1 Samuel 29, verse 3. The commanders of the Philistines said, what are the Hebrews doing here? And Achish said to the commanders of the Philistines, is this not David, the servant of Saul, king of Israel, who has been with me now for days and years since he deserted? To me I have found, no, we didn't find a problem with David. Jonah identified himself as a Hebrew in Jonah 1:9. It says, and he said to them, I am a Hebrew, and I fear Yahuwah, the Elohim of heaven, who made the sea and the dry land. And hundreds of years later, Paul was still using the same identification. In Philippians 3, verse 5, he said, I'm circumcised on the 8th day of the people of Israel, of the tribe of Benjamin, a Hebrew of Hebrews, as to the law of Pharisee. Abraham's grandson Jacob's name was changed to Israel. Genesis 35 verse 10, and Yahuwah said to him, your name is Jacob, no longer shall your name be called Jacob, but Israel shall be your name. So he called his name Israel. So Jacob and his descendants could be called the first Israelites. Jacob's fourth son was named Judah, and his descendants were called Judites or Judeans. Later the name Judean was shortened to Jew. Technically, Jews are Israelite Hebrews from the region of Judea. They come from Abraham, a Hebrew, and Jacob, an Israelite. Through Judah, a Jew. Thus, strictly speaking, all Israelite Hebrews are not Jews. After Solomon's death, the nation of Israel split into two kingdoms. In the northern kingdom were the non-Jewish Hebrew Israelites, descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, through 10 of his sons. And in the southern kingdom were the Jewish Hebrew Israelites, descendants of Jacob's other two sons who lived in Judea. This represents a very narrow definition of terms. However, in common usage, Jews, Israelites, and Hebrews are all words referring to Yahuwah's chosen people, the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And always bear in mind that the God of the Hebrews called to Moses and sent him to Pharaoh and said, "Let my people go."